So the first Kamen Rider series of the Reiwa era, Kamen Rider 01, has come to an end. So how is the finale? Well, you could say that it's 01 ending that has conflicted fans. Get it? That was sad. Anyway, but yes, Kamen Rider 01's finale was somewhat of a conflicting finale, depending on who you ask. A lot found it very disappointing, rushed, or some thought it was just good, it was fine as it is. So I wanted to give my thoughts on this finale, and I should warn you, I'm going to be spoiling a lot of it. I'm going to be talking about it in its entirety, so don't complain. We're at the climactic fight between Aruto and Horobi, Arc 1 versus Arc Scorpion, to determine the fate of Humagears and humans. Aesthetically and visually, why did I say visually? Aesthetically and visually, the fight between the two is just pure awesome. A battlefield filled with weapons embedded in the ground, the two summoning or pulling them out to fight one another. It just looks so awesome. It's something like from a samurai film or an anime. So that is great. The whole fight itself was just great. But back to the plot. With no way to stop Aruto, given the emotional state that he is in, Yua decides to focus on Horobi by resurrecting Jin's consciousness. No surprise that Jin came back. I mean, if you're a standard Humagear, death has no meaning. But anyway, Jin reveals himself to Azu and reveals that Aruto wants Horobi to defeat him, thinking that the latter can help him overcome the malice that has consumed him. And this succeeds as Horobi destroys the Arc Driver, freeing Aruto from Azu's influence. But the fight between the two is not over. Aruto is risking his life to teach Horobi what it's really like to have a heart. And we are shown that prior to their fight, Aruto conversed with his father inside of Zeya, with his father revealing that true strength comes from the one with the most heart, not the one with the most power. Aruto reveals that Horobi does indeed have a heart, as he felt rage and anguish over Jin's death, similar to how Aruto felt the same over Soryo and Izu's death. But Horobi still doesn't accept that he has a heart, and as he goes to attack Aruto, using a rebuilt 01 driver and the newly created Rising Hopper Progress Key Realized version, that was quite a mouthful, he transforms into 01. Just the base form 01. So he had to use a new key to become just the base Rising Hopper 01. Why? Marketing, of course. We need to sell toys. So the two continue their fight, and at the conclusion, Horobi prepares himself to be destroyed by 01's finisher, but instead his driver is destroyed, with Aruto revealing that his need for vengeance and his hatred of Horobi, he doesn't need it anymore. It's no more. He's ready to move forward. And now we cut to the epilogue. Some unspecified amount of time afterwards, all is now well. A new satellite for Humagears is being prepared to launch. Guy has his transformation devices rebuilt now. He's increased his entourage. Oh, now he has an entourage of robot dogs. Yua introduces the newest member to her team, Naki, taking over as the technical advisor. Yua saying that this is to further connect human and Humagears together as one. They can all share being Kamen Riders together. Fua rescues a woman from a car crash, stating that he is a Kamen Rider, a defender of peace. A rebuilt Jin and a repaired Horobi lead a new Metsubo-Jinrai.net as guardians of the world against malice. And Aruto unveils a rebuilt Izu, wanting to rebuild their friendship and memories with one another together. And that's it for 01. Now, onto my thoughts. Overall, I think they played it pretty safe with this ending. They wanted to give everyone their kind of happy endings, and that's where I kind of feel a bit off with a lot of them. Not that they deserve happy endings, except for one character maybe, but how it led up to this and how it was shown. So I'll start off with Naki. So Naki becoming a technical advisor is not out of the realm of possibilities. Given their abilities, it makes sense. But I feel like with what we've seen with Naki and what was built up, it would have made sense if they decided to partner up with Fua, do whatever Fua was deciding to do, or even better yet, have the two team up and together they're going to search for what's their role now, what's their place in this world post war, when our humans and Humagear are treated as equal. So like what are they going to do now? But they don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to find out together. They've been technically working together, been together since the beginning of the show. So I think it would have been much more fitting that they had their endings merged together. But with the ending that we got, I think it's fine. I think we could have gone with a much better direction with Naki's character with their ending. Yua's, I feel like this only exists because of what was set up in the previous episode. Her saying with the whole is like, I want humans and Humagears, working together, all that. I think the problem is a lot of her character development was stunted at a point. So it was never really built up to reach this conclusion that she is all for it. She definitely wants, she views Humagears not as tools anymore as she used to, but as people, as their own people, and wants to work alongside them together. All of that, aside from the previous episode, the penultimate episode, so it was really rushed to reach Yua's conclusion, I think. With Thouser, with Guy, I feel like he shouldn't have got this ending. Because remember, he caused all of this. He's the one who pretty much created Arc. So there's, no repercussions from him doing this? Like, not even jail time? Like, I could see him just... He goes to jail as kind of like to atone for what he did. He knows he messed up with creating the Arc, whatever. So have him do that, I think that would have made much more sense. But having him just like, okay, I've rebuilt my transformation devices, and now I have more robot dogs. They really want to remind me of Thouser's stupid reason for why he hated Humagears. But no, I just don't think that was fitting enough for Thouser. I don't think, of all the characters, I don't think he really deserved to have a good ending, a happy ending. Jin and Horobi, I feel like I'm actually somewhat fine with what they're doing now with their endings. I still think it's kind of a bit rushed in regards to Horobi, as he only just, just got the whole, I do have a heart, all that stuff. So it felt a bit rushed because it was only just brought into that episode. But I think overall it was fine. Although it's possibly because they were the characters I was least invested in, so I didn't particularly have a problem with what happened to them anyway. So, on to Fua, my character, my favorite character, the one I was most invested in. I think thematically, it makes sense that he's kind of just a lone wolf, just a defender of peace, wandering around saving people. But I feel like there should have been a bit more. There should have been a bit more to what he was doing. Like I said earlier, have him team up with Naki. Have him partner up with Naki, and they go together. They go off together to find out what's their purpose now in life. Now that the war is over, I think that would have been much more fitting to both of their characters. So, it makes sense. The ending kind of makes sense, but it leaves me wanting more. There could have been just so much more done with Fua. And much like with Yua, his character development was stunted at a point, and I would say that it was after the whole he discovered that his memories were fake. They were fabricated. I think after that, his character development was just like stopped, and they just really didn't know what to do with him anymore. After that, they tried to touch on the whole. He wants to go see his actual family that that's actually alive, all that. But aside from him seeing them, they did not really do a lot with that. So I don't know, it was somewhat disappointing to a degree, I guess. And then on to Aruto. So, to really no surprise, they brought back Izu. But they stuck to their guns. They stuck to what they established. It is not Izu as we know it, because she's a special model of Humagear. She can't have a backup. So it is just a new, just built model of Izu that lacks all the memories and experiences that the Izu that we knew accumulated across the entire series. I don't think this was actually necessary. There's a scene in all these epilogues where Aruto is holding Izu's progress key. He activates it. It says cannot read because there's no backup. There's no data on it, and he looks visually. He looks and he's a bit damn it. It's like I can't bring Izu back. But then he goes to his window, has a more uplifting, brighter expression. He says, "I'll leap towards my dream." That whole thing, and for what it kind of implies and what I could take from that, interpret from that is that despite the fact that Izu is gone, Aruto is going to continue with his dream, not just for himself, but for Izu, to move forward, to continue building this bridge between humans and Humagears. That they're treated as equal. They're not two different. Different races, whatever. All that they are one that survive together, that work together. All of that. There's the whole dream that Aruto had from the beginning. He's going to continue that for his and Izu's sake. I felt like if you moved that scene literally to the end of the episode, I think it would have been a much fitting way to just end the episode and to also end Aruto's arc. I think it would have been really, really good. But they wanted to go with the bittersweet happy ending of bringing Izu back, and it's not the same Izu, but Aruto wants to rebuild their relationship again from the start. Now to the disappointing part. There's two. The first one I'm going to go through is Azu. So, they don't finish her story arc, what little there was of a story arc with her, or her character arc. She meets this mysterious man, gives him a new driver and a new key, and he transforms into Kamen Rider Eden. Yes, the finale, and they introduce another Kamen Rider. Allegedly, this Kamen Rider is the antagonist of 01's film that was delayed due to COVID-19. So this is a setup to the film, but kind of the problem is everyone else had their arcs wrapped up, whether people liked it or not. They concluded. Azu's didn't. Azu's has to continue into a different film. Not a different film, just continue into a film. So, I don't know, I was really disappointed with that, and it kind of also ties into my overall thoughts on Azu as a whole. She didn't need to be in the series. I mean, she wasn't even a character from the get-go. They just had in the series opening Izu with longer hair and red eyes, and they said, keep that in there, we might do something. So they didn't even have the idea for it. They just said, okay, if we reach a certain point, maybe we could use that. Honestly, they didn't need Azu there. With quite a bit of reworking, you could take her out and the story still stays relatively the same. Just change it to that Ark's physical bodies, whatever, was destroyed, but now he's influencing Horobi and Aruto, so that he can choose one of them to be his new body and continue his plans. They're both affected by deaths. They're, Aruto with Izu, then Hori with Jin, so using it for his plans, whatever. I think that would you could still do that, and the plot would still stay relatively the same. And that's just with Azu taken out of it. There's not particularly that big of a difference, and you can still keep the whole Aruto versus Horobi stuff as well. And then on to the last disappointing part is that there wasn't really a conclusion or resolution to the whole Humagears that were starting to revolt, starting to go rampant, and that kind of really started with the previous episode. It's touched upon in this episode, in the finale, where they're trying to attack the vice president, and he's like, "No." Someone tells him to flee. He's like, "No, I'm going to stay here. I believe in all of you, even these ones that are attacking me. I believe in Humagears," and all that. That's it. And then we get no conclusion to that. We get no outcome of that. It's just, okay, now everything's fine. It's just like, you can't build up this whole premise of that here's humans, here's Humagears. Humagears were built to help advance humanity. Aruto wants them to be treated equally. Some people view them as tools. Some people just want them outright destroyed. There's Humagears that want to kill humanity and have Humagears rule everything. But the overall theme being wanting humans and Humagears to work alongside each other, to be equal to one another. And then you throw in something that is a danger to that. The whole, some Humagears are starting to go rampant again, and that ideal is now at risk, and then you quickly resolve it off screen. It's like, oh, okay, we did it, boys. Racism is no more. Are we going to show you how we kind of achieve that? No, not really. I think what they were going for, they were implying that as soon as Aruto and Horobi stopped fighting and they were now just on better terms, it just fixed everything. It's like, but that's just an implication. You don't really show it. Show that they didn't tell you that it was resolved. So they didn't go against the whole show don't tell, but they didn't even show it as well. So this was really disappointing. They completely rushed that. So there was more of a happy ending for everyone. Look, now humans and Humagears are working together again. Or working properly now as equals. Hooray! Oh boy. But overall, was the finale terrible? No. It was fine. But it was very rushed. A lot of stuff that was disappointing, and it could have done a whole lot better. But it was an okay finale. It at least concluded, apart from Azu's, all of the characters' character arcs. I mean, I joked about it as like, oh, this is just kind of like Decade, but not really. Just aside from Azu's story, her character arc, it did finish 01's story. That's the main difference there. So I'll go back on that whole little joke that it's like Decade. But yeah, I think, but this finale didn't really sour my my opinions on 01 as a whole. I think 01 kind of breathed a new life of Kamen Rider back, especially to me. I don't think since X8 I was like so heavily invested into a Kamen Rider series, and that's not to say that any other series didn't have that same effect. Don't think there really is a series that I just outright hated. There's a series where I have parts I just don't like. Ghost, for example, I just don't like a lot of parts of Ghost. But would I say that is a outright terrible Kamen Rider series? No. And a lot of its problems aren't its own. It's not only because of its story. There was a lot of outside interference as well. But just because I didn't particularly like the entirety of 01's finale doesn't mean 01 is a terrible season. It is actually a good, solid season, but it does have its flaws. Tournament arc. But yeah, so those were my thoughts on the 01 finale. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Do you think I missed out on some parts, or I misinterpreted some stuff? I tried to the best of my ability to write down, to capture my thoughts, which is kind of really hard. I didn't want I didn't want to just ramble on every point with no script. I think I find myself much more contained and easier on a script than just me just going off the top of my head. So tried to the best of my ability to capture what I was thinking. Hopefully it worked. But yep, 01 is done. Next we have Kamen Rider Saber. Oh boy, the riders with the sword heads and the goofy animal head armor pieces. Oh. I'll give it a chance, okay? Sometimes there are series where I don't particularly like a lot of the suits, but the story's been really, really good. Surprisingly enough, I actually did not like Drive's suit from when I first saw it, but I really liked Drive, and then it grew on me. So maybe these suits will grow on me. I just don't like the animal head armor pieces. I think they just look they're too noticeable, and they're too goofy looking for like everything else on the suit. Like I can deal with the sword heads. That's fine to a degree. It's just the animal heads. But we'll see how Saber goes. I might do a video on the first episode and then just do no videos on the other episodes. I mean, remember when I used to review 01 episodes? Yeah, me neither. That's it for the video. Thank you everyone for watching. You know, like all that, whatever. I'm not gonna say if you want to. I don't mind. But I'll see you all in the next one.